Welcome to our webinar. Today, my name is Sherry Blanche. I'm a Workamajig account manager, and we will be covering a couple of topics today, the custom P&L layouts, and also a little bit on the Google Financials and Google Sheets. So just to mention again, my name is Sherry Blanche, and we're going to be doing a little bit on the custom P&L layout, Google Financials, and Google Sheet links. I have several tabs open here today, and also a couple of other things. These are recorded. We do post these on our website, and you can get back into the webinar links to, oh yeah, I was doing a little testing out here on some things, so let me clean that up. So just to note that the webinars are right here on our support, just support.workamajig.com, and you can get to past, previous, upcoming on our site here, and it takes a few days to post the recordings, so those will be there. I did also open up our help guide to the links that will be going in. I will also go through the custom layouts. And if you have some questions, this is a high-level review. So if you need very more specific or detailed help on these, you can always email after the webinar, the support@workamajig.com. Connect with your account manager for additional help or details. So this will be high level, not specific, specific reports and calculations and things like that. So just note on that. If you have questions, there is a Q&A tab. I will also now and then check chat, but I would prefer if you put those in Q&A, and if it's something I'm still going to be going over, I may hold off to answer as we go through our call today. So thanks for joining today. So I'm actually going to start out with the custom corporate P&L layouts to begin with, and go over that and show you where that detail is. And I have in here, if you come to your main menu and your accounting tab, or of course your financial reports as well, you have your corporate P&L, of course. And what we have is an ability here, of course, to run this different ways. And one of them is custom layouts. Now, you won't see a link to set up these custom layouts until you first have one created. I have one that is, I have the link here because I had gone in first, and I'll show you where we get to that, to create at least one. So again, you would need rights to your admin system setup, your GL settings, and here is where we have the ability to start a custom layout to begin with, to then see that link into this area from your P&L itself. So until you have at least one set up, you won't see the link here in your P&L. Once you have one, you'll see it. So just an important note. So when you start this, you just name your layout, and I'm going to just do webinar 8, whatever today is. What is today? 24. So we'll just name it what today's date is. So we're going to be going in through some of the features. Again, high level. Up here, I can edit that name. You can come in and delete them, retire them, but we're going to go over some of the basic setup and look at what this does here. Now, the label is exactly just what you want to give it. So I'm going to just start one as if I'm going to be running this based on a January date of some year. I have a January fiscal. I'm going to build my report as if I'm going from January through whatever I want. So this label is whatever you need it to be. There are 3 actual sources: actual, budget, or calculation. I'm going to use actual here. And then the third option we have is the period, where I'm going to start with showing base month. And what that means is that when I run and use this custom layout, I will always use January as my base month in this example. Now, I'll show later on when we build this, how you can have fixed, and you also have a couple like a year to date. But I'm going to start with base month of actual. And I'm going to build a few columns, and then we're going to run it, and then I'm going to continue on to show a few different examples in this. Oh, okay. So one of the questions, again, let me back up to how I got to this area. So main menu, admin manager, system setup, GL settings, and corporate P&L layouts is how I got here to, and this is the one we're working on today. So that's how we navigated there. Once again, you have at least one created. And I have 2 tabs open, by the way. I'm on a Mac, Chrome. I used my command control to have multiple tabs to different areas. Just side note, tips and trick. So once you have one built, if you're in your corporate P&L here and you're in your report and you're coming down and you say custom layout, you'll have the link to that area right from your P&L. But before you create one, you won't see that. So, okay. So that's my base month. So now what I do for February, I want my actual, and I want it based on my base month. And then what I need is an offset of 1. So it's as simple as that to say, here is February, this is March, we'll do April. So it's a simple build based on January being my base month of, so February, March, April. Now, another thing here is if I also want last January, all I need to do for this example is use my base month and just an offset of a -1 year. So what I need for last February is a 1 offset for the month and a -1 offset for the year. So that is really just how I'm building January base, February, March, April, last January, just a -1, last February, offset month of 1, and year offset -1. I hope that makes sense. Now, what I also would like to do here, I'll do one more last March. Whoops. So that would be my 2 and an offset of 1. Now, what I also want to show is a Q1 example. Now on this, I have my January base month. So all I need is 0 to 2 for my Q1. So I'm going to put this here. Now you can see when I rearrange my columns here, my column names that I cannot change, rearrange. So here I have Q1, 0 to 2, using just January as my base month. I'm going to do one more simple calculation. Or before I do that, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do last Q1. And again, for this one, is going to be 0 to 2 but an offset year of 1. So my last Q2, all I need is that quarter with a offset year of 1. And one simple calculation I'm going to add will be January difference. And for this, I'm not using actual, I'm just doing a calculation. Now my calculation ignores all of these other fields now. I don't care about this or offsets. All I care about is simply what column I want calculated. And in this case, I'm going to do column 1 minus last January, which is column 6. And I see a question coming up. I'll answer that in just a second. Now, again, what happens if I rearrange this after I do my calculation, I have to edit that if this changes. So if I move this around, now I'm not going to have the correct calculation. So you do just want to be cognizant. If you rearrange any of the columns, you'll have to update your calculations to be appropriate. Now, this is very simple, of course, but we're going to go ahead and run this after I look at the question, month starting offset. Yes, so because I'm using January as a base month, my January is 0. So a month off of January is February. So February is 1 month starting and ending off of January. March is a 2 off of January. So 0, 1, 2 is as simple as it goes month to month. Now, this example here, when I come in and I pick this, I have to refresh because that's new. It's not there yet till I come in here. Okay, webinar. So this is based on the fact that I know I'm starting my report with January. So the example I've given means I'm starting this report in January. It won't work with base month if I come in and start this report a different way. I'm going to show you some other things that can work for moving the start month. But in this example, January is my base month. I'm always running my custom layout based on the start month being January. So when I run this, and I probably could have hidden zeros, what it's showing me is, and again, keep in mind, my site doesn't have a lot of data in it, but you can see that it's pulling in February into February. And if I go to last January, it's offset a year, so it's pulling January of 2021. It's just simply pulling in my data based on how I set it up. If I look at last February, all these are February 2021. My quarter, of course, here, well, let's see, I don't have a good example for a quarter because I don't have more than one. Sorry, here's one. Q2, no, quarter still. Sorry about that. I thought I had a little more. Let's run it for 2021. So again, I can run a different year, and that's going to just switch my January here now to be 2021. So there's January. If I look at last January, it's now going to be 2020. So all it's doing is saying, well, what is my base month, base year, based on how I have it set up here. And now I work off of that. And when we look at the quarter, it's just simply saying, take these 3 columns, 1, 0, 1, 2 for my quarter. Now the calculation of January minus last January is here. It's just 6,600 minus the 875. And so that's just a simple example. I hope that answered your question of the starting and offset. It's just simply, what is your base month? And how far off of that are we? February's 1 off of January, 2, April is 3. Year, you don't have to do anything until you're trying to do last year. Now, the other thing that we can have in here is if you create your budgets, your financial budgets, you can use those. And I'll show you January budget. Again, for this to work, you have to have these financial budgets created. I have an example in here. It's not going to be pretty, but I have a revenue and expense example in here of what I have for a budget that I want to use within my layouts. I'm going to be back in here under my P&L. So here, instead of my actual, I want my budget used. What budget is going to be based on what year I'm running it. Now, you might have budgets from every year, so you could still use the offset of year. It just depends on how long you've been using financial budgets, how many you have in there, how you build them. But if I have my budget and now I want February, this is going to be an offset budget of 1, just like it is up here from my actual. But now, of course, it's going to look at my budget, not my actual. And I can do the same thing if I have previous budgets to say last January budget, last February budget, et cetera, et cetera. Let's see, is there a data set that allows P&L for all client data, budget, actual, and one report? Not one report by client. Let me come back to look at that question down the road. There are certainly more reports, more report options. I'm just simply focusing on Google Financials and the custom layout. So again, I'll try to help answer that or have your account manager get into more reporting details if you need. So now if I come into this and I say I'm running this for 2020 or 2021, and I want to compare it to my 2020 budget, and I run this report now after refreshing that. Let me hide zeros. Let me pop back in there and hide my zeros. That makes it just a little easier. So what we'll see in here now are those budget numbers. Now, these are not the drill-in numbers like the others, but it is then pulling in the data from my 2020 budget that I have in there. And here's some of my expense budgets in there. Now I can also do calculations of my budget column minus my actual column, et cetera, et cetera. So again, the calculations are simply saying what column here do I want to take my, budget. I'll put January budget versus actual. And this is a calculation. So now I just simply need column 11 minus column 1. I think that'll work. We'll take a look at that. Now, there are some other nuances on the calculations, just like custom reports, and that's also in the guide. As far as if you're doing divisions, you have to take care of the error of dividing by 0. I know all of you are savvy enough to know those custom calculation nuances, and we'll take a look at that, that guide as well. But if I run this again with that addition, we're just going to see in here now that budget here of 75 minus my column 1 January to give me that difference. And again, ignore my numbers. They're just, they're very messy. It's my test site, but it's just to show the example of of building this layout. Oh yeah. And by the way, on your Lynn, your question, there are client P&L reports, multiple or detail, project P&L, multiple or detail. And we're going to also be looking at some Google SheetLink and Google Financial that can lead you into more manipulating of the data outside of Workamajig if you need to. So here's our report. It's working pretty well. Of course, there's lots of different things you can do. Now, I'm going to show you another example of how you cannot use base month. I mean, it uses base month, but we have a thing called at start. And this just simply says, whatever date I start the report, that becomes my base month. And then I'm going to go 1, 2, I did 6 off of it. So I did 1, 2, and then I jumped clear to 6. And then I did a last previous year. And you can, I'm going to show you a little bit of an example of this. So if I use my at start, and I now am running this, let's say I decide to run this starting in May, and I don't care right now about any budget, but I want to use May of 2021. All this does is say, well, look at what date I start my report and pull the data from that date and then go forward. Here's adding 1 month. Here's adding 2 months. That's my offset of 1, offset of 2. Here's my offset of 6. So I'm just offset 6 months from my May. And here's my last is my -1 offset. And then I don't recall, I think I did, so May, June, July, and then I did last July. Again, if we look at that setup again here, it's an offset of 1, and it's 2 months off of wherever I started. Okay. So one last thing on this example, and we'll come back here. You do also have fixed. So if I say I want I always just want it to be fixed on whatever month I make it. And I say this is going to be April, or let's do June. Then what I can do here, oh, sorry, not here, is I can just say June is June. I'm just going to always pick the period that it is. I'm not using a base month. June is just June. Now, if I do June and June again, but an offset year of 1, then this would become last June. So you can do fixed period instead of base month. And if we look at that now and we run that and go back to our webinar 8/4/2020, and we say we're running this as of January and 2021, what we'll see in here, hopefully I'll have some things in June, it will still show here June data, and then, oh, I should have labeled this last June. So that depending on what year, this is June 2021. And of course, this is June 2022 or 2020, previous year. So that's fixed. And you can even name them such as that. So, and there is one other option to come in and just add a, this one is called actual, and you have one other option just called year to date that can be used. So that's one that you can toss in there as well, and it will just look at your year to date data, just using the actual period of year to date. So pretty simple there. Oh, I had one more question. Oh, I have two more questions. Okay, so that one. Okay, I think I got all of those. Is there a way to calculate columns off the report data? If you want a percentage of AGI, like the standard. Okay, so that is going to be a more advanced calculation, and I'm trying to think if that can be done even here, or we might have to then come in when we run this and do our Google Sheet. So if we do that sort of thing, we're going to come into this option here too and look at that. So the percent of AGI is going to be more of a, well, two things. We either run this single date with that percent of information or the budget comparison. I do know that one of these here with the percent difference is coming in later to the Google Financial or the Google Sheet link and doesn't currently pull in. So that's kind of related to your question. And again, if you, Heather, could email support@workamajig.com, we could hold that for when we do have a more updated on the what's available in the Google Sheet link or the Google Financial link that we're going to look at. The calculation in here, I'm not going to go into a lot of advanced ones here. Obviously there are, you can certainly try your hand at a lot of calculations. Again, a lot of times you might need to do the case when a column is 0, then 0 else you have to divide by another column and then times by something. But as far as percentages, yes, you could. It's going to be like your custom report calculations. Send us a specific example if you want us to help out with that, and we'll do that aside. So hope that answered you. A cheat sheet for tip. Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Calculations and tip formulas. Kind of. So I will just quickly come in here to go into, I think it's called Advanced Custom Reports. It takes me a little while to find, so bear with me. Okay, this is just advanced reporting details here. And then we do have a few examples of calculation things here. This is just, I just searched our support guide for advanced. But there is another area, and bear with me. Data sets, I might have to find it for you. On those, there is a somewhat of a cheat sheet. Best thing is to come out to your support person and say, hey, can you help me with this? This is the data I want. And even if it's like a date difference or a percentage, and sometimes you have to use the advanced reporting areas of doing a calculation after another calculation type thing, reach out to us. We'll help you. We'll help show you a language and that you can then copy month to month or whatever you might need to do. There is one in here kind of, but it's like here, here's a little bit of calculation, but it's not a full cheat sheet. So just reach out to us and we'll help get that for you. Good questions. Okay, so any other questions at the moment on our custom layouts? I was trying to think what else I had. Yeah, those are the two main ones that I wanted to show. So again, if you do a base month, as a certain month is your base month, it's a 0 month, you always want to make sure you run it with that as your starting month. If you do fixed months, then, or you use the at start date, then it won't matter so much because it will pick up based on the report setup and how you run that. So Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in and talk about the Google Financial link here. First, before we run into that area, I do want to mention here under your, again, somebody with rights to your admin manager, system setup. I opened that in a new tab again. You would want to make sure first here under account information and connections that you have the API tokens generated or that they are reset if you have older ones that are not working. If you get certain errors, you can't use the Google Sheet link or the Google Financials, you may need to be generating a new token or a system-wide token, or there is also a, user token that appears within here. So it may need to be updated, or if you don't have anything in here, your Google Financial and your Google Sheet links will not work properly. So this is the first thing. This user token also comes in and appears here under your name. So, there are options to copy it from here under your username or create a new token if you need to under there. But you would have to have somebody at least first come in here and make sure that that is correct. There were some older ones with some leading special characters that no longer work. So these may need to be set, generated, or updated. Okay, so I'm going to close that tab. Now, one thing that's really nice about your custom layouts are great. If you like those, they work well for you. You create budgets and that works enough for your needs. That's perfect. What I'm also going to show though is if you need to or want to, you can also come in and let me see, trying to remember what has the most data. I'm going to run this first for my last year, which would be 2021. Okay, I have some numbers in there. So what you also have the ability to do is come in here, and even without running your report, you can come in and add a new tab with your, I might delete that one and start a new one. Make sure, like I said, I was kind of doing some last minute testing things and want to make sure I have a fresh one. So for this, you can see here that you can simply take some information. Now, I'm just going to copy this to my clipboard. Now, you first want your filters set. So I did last year. I did all. And what I'm going to do though, for fun, is I'm first going to I have multiple companies in here. I'm going to set one first to just company A. Now, again, I'm going to run it just for the demonstration to show what this runs, just for your purposes. And then, but you don't have to run the report before you copy this. You just have to set your filters, last year, company A, copy, in order for me to come in then and simply, again, I'm Mac, I'm going to do Command V, and that will just simply load my data. So now your groupings on reports that we use for Google Sheet Links, which is also Google Financials, this is using that report style, they do not come over. So again, what it's running here is these numbers, these rolled up numbers, and that detail. But one thing we can do in here as well is we can come in to still hide zeros by just changing this to a 1 instead of a 0 to hide the zeros. So again, I didn't hide zeros to begin with, but you can just by simply, I'm going to set that back because I want to show something else by changing some of these formulas when you click into the import data. Now I'm going to come into a sheet 2 I'm coming back to this and I'm now going to run it for company B. And I'm going to just copy the clipboard. I'm going to simply paste because I want to show you. Now I don't have as much here. I have a few little things in here last year. I'm gonna also do one more sheet, set this back to a third company that I have in here, copy that, come back to my sheet. And I'm sorry, it's pretty fast clicking. And I can, oh, I don't have anything in that one. So that's all zeros. Now, the reason I want to show you that is because here where I have company, this is my company A, my company B, this is blank. If I want to merge these now, all I have to do is my sheet 2 and I want column C to fill in from my sheet 2. So it's as simple as some of the formulas. Now, I know a lot of you that are on this call probably already use Google Sheets and Google Financials. So that's why you're, that's why you, so you know formulas, you know manipulation, you know how probably to do these basics. So if I come in again, I can still hide zeros. I think. So it does the hide zero from the initial. I could still, I don't know how to hide these zeros actually. So hopefully you do. I know I'm a little limited to here. I probably wanted to do it here first before I pulled it over and then copied the sheet in to here. Now, how it copies, because I did hide zeros, you can see it doesn't line up now to my account number. So there's a few nuances there that you would have to take care to not do like I just did. So, but I think that that probably makes sense. Now this is the report style, right? So that's just using this report style. And again, I just am in the Google Financial link in our guide. Cell style, report style, again, is going through those examples here. And again, all you have to do is simply copy that and then paste that into your sheet. Sorry about the background noise. So the nice thing here is that you might have lots of different ways. Now, again, there is a cell style reporting. Now, when you do a cell style, there's some, and I'm not going to go into these details because I want to show some more things on just the Google Sheet link. But on these cell styles, it does on both of these remind you that there is a set thousand query. I think that's still the case, and that you might go way beyond the query cap if you are using the cell style. And I know those of you that work in the financials, Excel financials, Google financials know these different styles that we're not going to go into depth in. But this will explain that you want to be careful if you do cell style instead of what I just showed here, which were the report styles. And I'm still going to show you a couple other report options with the Google Sheets in addition to what we did here. So again, it's simply a dynamic. Once you set that up and you have this here with all your calculations and the data pulled in as you wish and doing what you want it to do in your financial formulas, it will simply update as your data updates. So there's nothing you need to do. You don't have to go into the report and Workamajig, keep running it. You can come into these though, under the settings and make sure that your calculations, now one says on change or every minute. These are not supported even though they're here. We will support the every hour. So you can come in under the file setting, make sure you have that set up for the every hour, so that every time within, each hour you have new data posted, financial or other, whatever report we're using in these, it will refresh for you without having to do anything. Let's see, I have another question about, the live link. Yes, the live link is live. Let's see, if you set up a 12-month monthly report, would it update automatically? Yes, it would. Now, correct, as long as, let's see, so you're saying 1 year monthly, I believe, if we're running this, and if you run this report, let's say it's 2022 though, and you don't actually have data here, yes, as these months get posted, those would update to your actual Google Sheet. Now, with that, remember, it will be hourly, not immediate. So as you post things, you would need to, let's see, what did I do there? Oh, I know why. I'm like, where's my data? It's like always run surprises for myself. But no, you would have that update to your Google Financial because it is a live dynamic link. But remember that it will be hourly. So if I have nothing here and then I go post January revenue in here, yes, it would update on the hour with that live link. So now again, a few of these, let's just use that one. A few of these do not do the comparisons or percentages, I believe. And so there may be the percentages on some of the comparison ones might now still need to be an additional calculation that you do here. Or some of those are being added. No exact ETA, no guarantee, but I do know there have been some requests for some of these comparative to also do as they run, also support that in the Google Financial, Google Sheet link. So that might be down the road. Another thing on these I will mention, let's see, I'll come into another new one here. Oh, that's my old one. Let's get rid of that one. Let's see if I can clean this up. Hopefully that's deleted enough. Maybe I'll just do a new one. It's always safer, right? One other thing I was going to mention on and it's whether it's Google Financial or Google Sheet Link, I'm going to come into my report area for an example time detail and show you, for example, which one did I like? I like this one. So on this one, if I say I'm looking at my 2021, let's make sure we have some stuff in there. Yeah. So again, my groupings do not come in, but these custom views and custom reports, aside from not supporting the grouping, have the same Google Sheet link. So it's the same as your Google Financial link, only now we can also do it in our views and our own custom reports. So as you know, this report's built on my time detail. As you know, in Workamajig, I can't commingle data sets, but now what's nice is you can say, well, this is my time detail report. I'm going to put it into my Google Sheet. I'm now going to come in and add another sheet, and I'm going to maybe do my service and item data or another data set of information that's similar to this, and I'm going to merge them. I'm going to do all sorts of fancy things over here with the commingled data sheet by sheet merged into one, or whatever you want to do. Now, on this, I wanted to show this example because here the dates default to this formatting. So you want to make sure that you come in. I always have to come in and find where it is. So it automatically does the numbering or the automatic. You just have to one time, this is not a continual, you just have to say, I want my date format. So a few things like that, and the fact that I can't take your custom calculated labels. So here you can see I did a couple calculated columns for my date worked and actual hours. I can't use your caption on this Google Sheet link. I can only show column 1. So, and if I edit it over here, it kind of breaks your report if I just type over this. So you would just come in and insert a row and label these as you need to then, make sure they are looking like you want. Now, of course, in here, you have all sorts of options to do pivot tables and whatever you need. But if any of you are not yet aware, of course, this you might be more familiar with of how to do these. And I probably want to, I wanted to select more than that. But I did want to make sure that you know in Workamajig now, you have the ability to do pivot tables with all sorts. Now, this is a separate training and webinar. We're happy to get on calls with you and your account manager, help you through these. But if you have a lot of things already exported, merged, all your fancy stuff that you like to do is more in your Google Sheets, then, this is probably the best option to come in and use the link and do that here. But we do now do a lot with pivot tables and charting the pivot tables and so forth. So make sure that if you need more help and training or want to review the previous webinars on these things, that you certainly can do that. Again, a little bit separate training on that. Let's see, I was trying to, there we go. Let's see if I can do that. But anyway, you of course can come in and do all your pivoting and details that you like here as well. I feel like I'm just really rambling on. Let me see what other questions. And I was trying to get back to Lynn's on P&L by client. As you know, we do have the client P&L multiple. As far as these, however, I don't believe, well, here you do. I think, Lynn, this is really back to your question that I kind of put on hold. If you come into your client P&L detail and you use the budget summary, I can then budget the revenue by client, as you are aware, because that's probably, you must be doing that if you had that question. Again, if you're not familiar with how to create the revenue and expense budgets by client, by whatever you like to separate those out. But yes, you could use this to do your comparative P&L budget versus actual. So I think that if that doesn't answer your question, oh, I see, you want the multi-view. Well, that's probably because if I do this, I can do it this way by all clients. So if this is not working for you, if you want to send details, run this client multiple P&L and add your financial budget here and tell me or tell your account manager why this doesn't work and how. Now, I have not tried this yet. That's a good, it's an interesting concept, but maybe what I will do is go ahead and let's just do this for 2020. since we have a little bit of time left. And let's just run this for fun and see it should pull in the budget, I believe. Revenue, income. I don't see the budget. So I'll have to double check that for you and see, because again, I haven't really played around with that. It may be my layout that I need to work on here. So send some more details in if you don't mind, and we'll take a look at that and see if this can get what you need. So good questions, good questions. Okay, so one last thing, of course, your reports have the Google Sheet link, your views. So if you're, let's say you're a project manager and you use a lot of your assignment detail, do but not done. I have some with like a date difference field in here. These also have your sheet link. So all of these have the ability to come in and go out to your Google Sheet, do more manipulation like this. So your accounting, your balance sheets have the Google Financial link, all of this. Now, again, I didn't go into the cell style reporting, but there's a lot of guidance here on just making sure you use the proper language for importing cell style, being careful with your, again, I'm sure those of you that are very astute with cell style, you put in your accounts and account numbers and data like this for that type of report. I did more of this report style on today's call. So we're happy to connect you with somebody to help out if you need more advanced abilities in here. And but all of those, balance sheet, all of the financials should have that sheet link as well. Again, your if not, we can certainly, again, your client multiple has that as well. So feel free to try these. What I will mention that what really helps when you have issues, when you want help with those calculated columns and some more advanced options, if you come in and say, I'm in this view, it is on my project manager today assignments, and you can even up here copy the link of where you are to say it's here, and you just send this in your support ticket. Or for example, if I came into this custom report and I say it's this report, it has a URL link. You can say it's named this, it's in my report area, or it's a view and it's here. That really helps us get started with, oh, I see exactly where you are. I see why your custom filters or your calculation isn't working. And we can quickly do a correction, or we often will make a copy of yours first to make sure we don't mess yours up. At least that's what I like to do. And then say, here, see if this is correct for you, and help show you how we've edited some of those calculations here, whether it be date or other. And happy to always help out that way, or get on calls as we can to do some more in-depth training and details with you. Again, if any of you are on the call that are not familiar with that process, when you email support@workamajig.com, it goes directly to your account manager. If they are out, if they are on calls, if they're whatever the case may be, we try to help each other out by grabbing each other's emails. There's phone support, there's chat support, but depending on how complex the issue is or questions, or if we need to do a screen share, always happy to do that as quickly as we can. So don't hesitate to reach out. And of course, one thing I did want to also mention is on these custom layouts and these sheet links, when you click on that custom layout, you don't do anything to your actual data, of course. So you can add and play around with these financial budgets, whatever revenue forecast. It's not doing anything to the data itself. So of course, it's very easy to come in, create, come in and delete if you're done and don't want this any longer. So you can certainly have lots of fun trying out different things. And again, more help with those calculations, more advanced. I did want to find a little more in here, but this guide here on, I just typed in advanced reporting, custom report. It does have a little bit of those on sample calculations, but will help further more directly with, if you say, this is the data I want, and this is what I'm trying to get, and this is what I, and send us an example. What also helps is just to print something out and say, I want this changed this way, or this is what's wrong, and kind of highlight some things for us to help us help you as quickly as we can. So any other last minute questions, comments? Be interested to know how many of you on this webinar actually have already used these features. If you want to raise your hand, it might be kind of fun to just see. Yeah, that's great. Well, certainly let us know if we can be of further assistance. I appreciate you all taking time out to take a look at these custom layouts and examples. Again, I did simple, high level. We can help out into more complex needs as you have them. Just let us know. And again, reach out as you can. And I think I have one more question. Great. I'm glad that it was helpful. And again, happy to help further. Just let us know. And when you open your support guide, and by the way, that's under your name here as well, to open that guide, you can certainly search the topics at the top, search the webinars if you're on the main page here, and that recording probably in the next few days or week of today's webinar will be in here. If you aren't aware, there are previous in here of lots of different topics. So you can come in, view these at your leisure. And again, I really appreciate all of your time and spending some time learning some new things. We always like to get on and help further with adding on any of the new features that you can use to make your life easier and more efficient. That's our goal. That's what we all want. We're here because we want yours, your work to be meaningful, efficient, and helpful to you. So, all right. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and end our webinar, and have a great rest of your Wednesday. Bye.